Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about backing up WordPress, backing up your WordPress site or sites. Why do we need to do this? Well, if your site gets hacked, what will happen is the people who hack it, they're probably going to modify your WordPress files. They're probably going to add new files out there. They're also probably going to go into the database and add code in there too. And to try to go in and see what was changed and try to fix it and all that stuff is pretty much impossible. So if you have a backup of your site, you can just go ahead and re-upload everything at a certain point in time of history. That's what your backup's from, and then you're good to go. You don't need to fiddle with any of the stuff that was hacked because you're replacing it with a backup of all your good stuff. Or it could be that your web host is constantly going down and it's getting really, really annoying to you. And they're down so much that you can't even access maybe a backup that your web host does online. So you have a backup yourself that you can use. Or if you just want to change web hosts really quickly and you don't want to fiddle with contacting your existing web host and all that, if you have a backup, a copy of your own, you can just go ahead and go to a new web host and boom, upload everything, and you've moved your site. Now the question always is, doesn't my web host already back up everything for me? And the answer is yes, probably, or maybe. What happens with a lot of web hosting plans is they do provide backup services. How frequently they do it will vary upon the web host. For instance, some might do it every 24 hours, some maybe once a week, some maybe once a month, and some do not back up databases. And remember, WordPress basically is this giant database, and there's a bunch of code that makes it run, but it's this big database, and some web hosts do not back up databases. So if something happens to your WordPress site, all your stuff is gone. Now, when it comes to backing up your WordPress site, there's basically four things that you want to back up. First is the database. That's where all the stuff about your site is stored. Next is the WP content folder within WordPress. And that's because that's where your themes are stored, where your plugins are stored, any files you upload, they're all stored there. Then we have the wp-config.php file. Remember, that's the file that has all the login information for our database. Then we have the .htaccess file that I talked about in previous videos that can limit access to certain areas within WordPress and so on. Basically, when you back up these four things, you're making a backup copy of everything that is unique to your site. All the other files out there, there's nothing unique. You can go to WordPress and download them and upload them again. It's nothing unique to you. We're only going to back up the stuff that's unique to your site. Everything else is generic to WordPress. Now, when it comes to backing up WordPress, you got a couple, well, there's several options, but I'm going to mention two of them here and then show you how to use one. And the first one is a plugin called WordPress Backup to Dropbox. Very simple to use. It's free to use, works very, very well. And this is the one I'm going to be demonstrating. Now, if you want more functionality, if you wanted to back up to like Amazon S3, you didn't want to use Dropbox, whatever, the plugin I recommend is called Back WP Up. I just want to mention this plugin so you know what's available. The difference between this two is Back WP Up allows you to back up to Dropbox, to Amazon S3, to your own file server, to lots of places. While WordPress Backup to Dropbox only does Dropbox, but it's far easier to use of the two. So that's the one I'm going to demonstrate to you how to use right now. It only takes a couple minutes to set up, and you'll never have any worries because your WordPress site will always be backed up. So here I am logged into my WordPress admin panel at the dashboard, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Plugins, choose Add New, and then I will type in WordPress Backup to Dropbox. And it will come up with the results. This is the one that I want right here. I'm going to click Install Now. It's going to say, hey, you sure you want to do this? I'll say, yep, go ahead and install it. It's going to download it, unpack it, all that good stuff. I'm going to say, okay, let's activate the guy. Okay, now it's activated. And what you'll notice here along your dashboard side panel, I've got this new option, WPB2D, WordPress Backup to Dropbox. First, I'm going to go up here to backup settings. And it's going to say, hey, you need to authorize. And what that means is I need to set up a Dropbox account. Okay, if you're not familiar with Dropbox, don't worry, I'm going to walk you through it. If you're a Dropbox Pro, then you're going to know what your account credentials are going to be that you'll need to enter. But I'm going to set up a new Dropbox account here. So here I am. I'm on Dropbox.com, and Dropbox is really just a cloud storage solution that makes it real easy to sync files or share files between multiple devices. And they have free plans and paid plans, but I'm just going to go ahead and click Sign Up. And for my first and last name, I'm actually going to use the name of my website. It's easier for me to remember that way. So this was basically sample blog, and then I'll use a special email that I only want to use for this particular Dropbox account for this particular site. Enter my password, agree to the terms, click sign up. No, I do not want to save the password, Safari. And then it's going to come up, hey, we've got this free plan where there's 2 gigabytes of space. We've got, you get a terabyte for $10 a month. For most people, 2 gigabytes, the free plan is going to be fine. You can choose what you want. And I'll choose continue, the basic Dropbox plan. And now what they'll do is they will download a desktop version of Dropbox to your computer as well. And the cool thing about this is you can set it up so when you back up your WordPress site, not only will a copy go to Dropbox in the cloud, but a copy will go to Dropbox on your local computer as well. So you've basically got 2 backups. Every time you back up your WordPress blog, you can have a copy in the cloud and a copy on your desktop. So you've got that extra fail-safe functionality built in. Okay, but we're not going to do anything with the desktop version in this video. I'm going to show you how to set it up to work with the plugin. So I'm going to go to Set Up Dropbox here, and then I'm going to go down here to Files. And there's a Getting Started PDF that you can read if you want. But basically, it's a new account, so I don't have anything out here. Okay, but now I have my Dropbox account set up, so I'm going to be good to go. So I'm going to hop back over to my WordPress blog, and I'm going to choose Authorize. And it's going to say WordPress back up to Dropbox would like to access its own folder. And it's saying that this is the folder subdirectory it's going to create in Dropbox for me. I say, yeah, cool. Go ahead and do that for me, won't you? Success. Okay, it's all set up. WordPress backup to Dropbox is now connected. Okay, so I can go ahead and close this guy. And now what I can do, if I go back over here, and by the way, I just clicked on WPB2D, and it's going to tell me, okay, everything's all set up. If I want to unlink this account, I can. And now I can go ahead and schedule my backup, and it will show me histories and things like that. And do I want to store backups in a subfolder on the app folder? And I would check this if I were using this one Dropbox account for multiple WordPress installations, but I'm just going to use it just for this one installation now. And now I can select the date and time that I want to back up and the frequency. And the basic rule that you want to follow when it comes to backing up a WordPress site, it can be kind of time consuming and resource intensive for the server, so to speak. So it can take a while to do, and it might slow down your site just a little bit. So you want to pick a day and time where there's not going to be a lot of traffic on your site. So as an example, I would pick Saturday, and this is military time. So this is midnight. This is 11 p.m. I'd say, let's say Saturday, 3 in the morning. And then the frequency, how often do I want to do this? And this is going to depend upon how often you update the content in your WordPress site. If you only do 1 or 2 posts a week, then you can go ahead and back up weekly. If you do several posts a day, then you probably want to do daily. But in this example, I'll just do weekly. And then this guy down here, exclude files and directories. Okay, and there's a note. Your SQL dump file will always be backed up regardless of what is selected below. What that means is it's automatically going to back up your database every single time. Okay, so we only need to worry about the other 3 things, which were the WP content folder, the htaccess file, and the wp-config.php file. So what this is telling us here is we want to select all the files that we want to exclude from our backup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say exclude all. So it goes ahead and checks everything for me. Then I can say I want to include the WP content folder. I want to include the htaccess file. and I want to include the wp-config.php file. Okay, click Save Changes. Boom, and you're done. That's it. It's automatically, every week at Saturday at 3 in the morning, it's going to go ahead and do a backup to your Dropbox account. Now, what happens if you want to do a backup immediately, like right now? Well, in that case, what you can do is go to the backup monitor. And it says, hey, you don't have any backups yet. I can start a backup right now. And I'm going to do that in just a moment here, but I wanted to point out something else. If you wanted additional functionality with this plugin is free, everything's free. You can go here to premium extensions, and they do have some add-ons that you can buy. For example, you can get email notifications when your backups are done and complete, or if anything goes wrong, or they can create a zip file, which is a compressed file of all your stuff before uploading it to Dropbox, which can save you some space if you have a larger site. Okay, so just wanted to point those things out, and they have single and multi-site options. But now I'm going to go back up to Backup Monitor, and I'm going to go ahead and start a backup. Okay, and it's doing everything. And I'm going to pause the video while this runs, and then I'll begin the video again once it's complete, and I'll show you what happens on Dropbox when you back everything up. Okay, so now my backup is complete, and it took about 7 or 8 minutes, but remember, this is a site that really doesn't have much of anything in it in terms of content, so that's why it was so quick. Backups normally take longer than that, but now if I go over to Dropbox, okay, what you'll notice is it automatically created a folder out here called Apps. We go into that, and we've got the WPB2D folder, and we go into that, and here is everything that was backed up. We've got our WP content folder, we've got our wp-config.php file, and our .htaccess file. Wait a minute, I told you to back up 4 things. Where's the database? Well, what it does is in the WP content folder here, if we go into that, you'll see a folder called Backups. And this is where it will store your database backup. And it's this crazy looking file name with a .sql extension. And this actually contains the complete database, everything from your WordPress database, so your site can, run and have all the content and all that good stuff. Now, another question that will come up, if I go back here to all of these, what happens when I do backups over and over and over and over again? Okay, because that's the idea of a backup. You're going to do backups every week. What happens? Well, what will happen is when you go into this folder, you'll always see the same stuff here, and it's going to be the most current stuff. Okay, the most current or most recent backup that will appear here. But don't worry, it does keep copies of previous backups as well. And the way you would access something like that is I would go over here to previous versions. Okay, and if there are any previous versions available, in my example there aren't because I've only done 1 backup, all of the previous versions would appear here, and that way you can pick a version from a point in time further back. So in other words, it does keep copies of prior backups, but it's only going to show the most current backup. Then you need to select the specific file and then choose previous versions. And that's really all there is to it. It's free, it's fast, very simple to set up, and you'll be protected in case something catastrophic happens. But then the question is, okay, I've got all these backup files and I've got my backup database. If something horrible happens, how do I restore my WordPress site? I'm going to teach you how to do that in the next video.